Kings in Israel were absolute rulers, their word was law. And just like in a family where a good father brings blessing, or in a company where a good leader makes all the difference, the same was true for kings. If the king followed God, the nation was blessed. If the king turned from God, the whole nation suffered. But what was God looking for in a king? God didn't judge kings by how much land they conquered, or by how morally good they looked on the outside. He judged them by one thing: did they worship and trust him alone? 3 times a year, all Israel would travel to the temple in Jerusalem to worship. But the rest of the time, people worshipped idols, gods of rain, fertility, and prosperity. Isn't that a lot like us today? We trust God for eternal life, but when it comes to health, happiness, or security, we turn to other things. Our wealth, our food, our achievements. Yet God is looking for hearts that trust him in everything. The northern kingdom had wealth, trade routes, and power. But it quickly fell into idol worship, starting with the golden calves King Jeroboam built. Prosperity became their god, and eventually, wicked King Ahab and Jezebel led them further away. The southern kingdom had the temple in Jerusalem and a slower decline, but unfortunately, they too fell into idolatry, especially under the rule of King Manasseh. The golden calves were the first sin that Israel committed after Sinai. Aaron made the golden calf, and Moses was so angry he threw the tables of the law on the ground. The golden calf wasn't even Aaron's idea. It wasn't new at all. It was borrowed straight from Egypt, a common fertility god shaped like a bull. In those days, the bull was a symbol of strength, power, and prosperity. That's why they have temple prostitution. People believed temple sexual rituals would wake the gods: rain, wind, and fertile land. It was a dark lie. Today we have the prosperity gospel, a new version of it. It just doesn't come in a cow shape. The northern kingdom became violent, kings killing kings just to grab power. In the south, the line of David gave more stability, though they too eventually fell into idolatry. The north collapsed much faster, but the south held on a little longer. Among all the kings, 2 names stand out for wickedness: Ahab, with his wife Jezebel in the north, and Manasseh in the south. But notice something. The real stars of the story weren't kings at all, they were prophets. Elijah in 1 Kings, Elisha in 2 Kings, and they weren't fortune tellers, they were truth tellers. On Mount Carmel, Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal to call down fire. They cried out, but nothing happened. Then Elijah rebuilt the Lord's altar and drenched the sacrifice with water. Elijah prayed. God answered with fire from heaven to show that only the Lord is God. The New Testament tells us that John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah, confronting religious hypocrisy and pointing people back to God. The prophets didn't spend most of their time predicting the future. They spoke into the present, calling kings and nations to turn from sin and return to God. Prophets are used by God to warn, not fortune-telling. So here's the question: who do you really trust? God judged kings by whether they trusted him alone. And he calls us to remove the idols in our hearts, those things we lean on more than him. The challenge for you today is this: trust God alone, not just for eternity, but for your daily life, your health, your future. Bring it all to Jesus, and see what happens when he alone is your king.